So welcome everybody one more time to this language class. And as I told you yesterday and a few days ago, we're finally going into the last conditional or the third conditional. And I want you to pay attention on these guys' faces. They are not too happy because usually the third conditional, you use it in two situations, usually. One is when talking about imaginary situations, things that could happen but didn't happen. All right, things that you were like, oh, maybe if something like this happened in the past. All right. Or regrets. All right, so you are not too happy with a decision. You regret something, as you can see here in this GIF, right? He's not too happy with what he did. All right, so before I continue, what are the two situations that you might use the third conditional?
Imagination.
Imagination and regrets, right? Okay, saying this, I'm going to show you this short video. The video is like 7 minutes, but I'm going to show you only the first 2 or 3 minutes. Then I'm going to pause because we don't need to watch it all yet. Let me know if you can hear or not, all right? So the video is going to do my job today. After this, I'm going to continue explaining. Let's watch.
In this video, we'll be talking about the third conditional.
Okay, I'm going to pause there. Look at their faces. And here on the right, it says, unlucky in love. That's what I was telling you about in the beginning, that this is not my favorite one. First of all, because it's like not too good situations, right? Like imagination, things that didn't happen, and usually regrets. Not too good. But also it can be for positive things. It depends on the way you look at it, right? Okay, can you listen to the video?
Yes.
All right.
How do you think she replied? What did she say?
Okay, who read the question?
And you win the lottery.
Exactly. Imagine if you won that lottery.
How do you think she replied? What did she say? If I had won the lottery, I would have gone on a shopping spree. This is what we call the third conditional. We use it to talk about a hypothetical situation in the past which didn't happen and its consequence. Sometimes we can use the third conditional to criticize. We can also use if only to criticize. How would the woman rephrase her sentence using if only? If only you hadn't been so careless. The third conditional can also be used to express regret. We can also use if only to express regret. We can also use could or might instead of would if we are less sure about the consequence. Let's go back to the first example again. If I had won the lottery, I would have gone on a shopping spree. Did she win the lottery? No, she didn't. Did she go on a shopping spree? No, she didn't. If in the future she wins the lottery, will she go on a shopping spree then? Perhaps, but we don't know. She was only talking about a specific event in the past, not future events. Is she criticizing or expressing regret? No, she's not. She's simply talking about a hypothetical situation with her friend. Now, let's...
Okay, I'm going to pause there. As I told you, we're not to watch the whole video yet. Well, I'm going back here on this section. So, something happened. As we can see here in the picture, there was an accident. Please read what she's saying here. If
you hadn't been so careless, you wouldn't have had that accident.
Very good. If you hadn't, pay attention on that one. If you hadn't been so careless, you wouldn't have had that accident. Okay, so in that case, it's a hypothetical situation. Hypothetical. He's talking about criticizing. I prefer to use like imagination. She's criticizing his attitude, right? His behavior. He was probably distracted, or maybe talking on the phone, or maybe playing with the radio. We don't know, right? Something may happen there. All right, and he said that maybe you can change by if only. Who remembers what he said about if only? So you can change the sentence. Instead of use it like this, if only. I'm going to pause here for a second and going back to past classes when we were talking about second conditional and we use I wish. Do you remember that we use I wish? I wish I were taller. I wish I had dog shelter. I wish I traveled the world and things like that, right? So that's in that case. Now we can replace or we can use other expression in third conditional like if only. If you didn't pay too much attention into that, I'm going to repeat that little part so you can listen better and pay a little bit more of attention, all right? So pay attention on the expression if only. That's it. How can you replace these whole sentences by if only? All right? You ready? Okay, let me go a little bit here.
We can also use if only to criticize. How would the woman rephrase her sentence using if only? If only you hadn't been so careless.
Okay. If only
You hadn't been so careless.
very good. I was taking my notes too. If only you hadn't been so careless. So it's other way to change all this long sentence into something shorter. If only you hadn't been so careless. It's a way to show like hypothetical situation. All right? So let's continue with this other example here. Now, I'm going to play the video after this, but let's try to remember or let's try to compose the new sentence. we're going to try to change this long sentence into if only. Please, someone read this.
If I know it was winter in America right now, I would pack warm clothes.
Very good. How can we change it by if only?
If only I know it was winter in America.
Sounds good. Let's listen.
To express regret. We can also use could or might.
I went too far. I went too far.
The third conditional can also be used to express regret. We can also use if only to express regret.
Okay, and if you, let me see there. Oops. I didn't want the snow to cover the words. There it is. If I apostrophe D is the contraction of what?
Would.
You sure?
I had.
Let's see.
The third conditional can also be used to express regret. We can also use if only to express regret.
Someone said had. Yes, it's the contraction of had in this case, because this one it's a longer conditional and had more compositions. We're going to check that in a minute. Yes, you're right. I think it was Cynthia who said, or someone else. So whoever said, you were right. It's the contraction of had, H-A-D.
We can also use could or might instead of would if we.
Okay, so instead of would, he mentioned two other modal verbs. Do you remember them?
Could.
Could and
Have.
let's listen one more time.
Also use if only to express regret. We can also use could or might instead of would if we are less sure about.
Yes, school and might.
There you are. Can you read my paper, my notes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said. So here, for example, in this sentence, we have would, right? You can see here in the screen, I would have. He's using the contraction for have. Instead of would, we can replace by could or might, sorry. I could have or I might have. Remember that might, the one that is here in my notes, might is the past of must. Must, the obligation, must. Like you must go to school, you must do your homework, you must wear a uniform and that kind of things. Well, might is the past.
To express regret. We can also use could or might instead of would if we are less sure about the consequence. Let's go back to the.
Okay, let's go to this one.
Or might instead of would if we are less sure about the consequence.
All right, so in this case, he is using might, as we can see here. He mentioned that we can use might or could instead of would. sounds like difficult, like too many words, but actually it's not. I might got into university, right? Remember, it's in this case, what is happening on him? It's like it's a hypothetical situation, like an imaginary situation, criticizing or a regret.
Regret.
Regret, right? He's not happy. Like, well, he regrets that he didn't go to university.
Let's go back to the first example again. If I had won the lottery, I would have gone on a shopping spree. Did she win the lottery? No, she didn't. Did she go on a shopping spree? No, she didn't. If in the future she wins the lottery, will she go on a shopping spree then? Perhaps, but we don't know. She was only talking about a specific event in the past, not future events. Is she
Okay, here in this last part, he said he's very specific, saying that it's something in the past. In the past. All these situations that we have seen here, like this girl sitting here because she didn't win the lottery, and these people who didn't pack warm clothes, or the car accident, or the guy that didn't go to university. I'm going to ask you something. All these situations happened in the present, in the past, or in the future?
In the past.
In the past.
In the past, right? Okay, so I'm going back here. All those situations are in the past, and that's why most of the times we use the third conditional is for regrets. Most of the time. So that's why in the beginning, I asked you to pay attention on these faces. They are not too happy. They are not too happy, right? They are like, oh no, we didn't do this, or only if I this, or if you this, right? Okay, saying this, let's go to the boring part, how to structure the usage and examples. Well, this is only the first part, so we're going to do exercises and practice more next week, but just to have some structure today, we have like this: if past perfect plus perfect conditional. We're going into that in a minute. The usage, imaginary situations in the past, can be also regrets or criticizing, and examples. So in red, here in red, we have, if I had got a gold medal, I would have been happy. All right. So which one is the past perfect in this sentence? Which one is the past perfect? I had got. Very good. Had got. Remember that past perfect is the composition between had. It doesn't matter the pronoun. It can be he, she, it, you, we, they. That's okay. It doesn't matter. And the past participle of the verbs. If I had got, and obviously the perfect conditional is would and present perfect. Would have been. All of this here. All right. So, one more time. He mentioned that we could replace would by, who remember the words?
Would and might.
Very good, thank you. I think I have an option here to write. Let me see if I find it. We have an option to write right here in Zoom or not? I don't find it.
No, miss, we only have reactions.
Okay. Next example, please someone read it. If
I had met Susan last week, I would have given.
Yeah, something is missing here. I would have given her my phone number. Okay. Oops. All right. So far, do you have any question? I know this is more practice than memory. Even I don't remember like the composition, like past perfect, perfect conditional. Like, no, I know how to use it. I don't remember like all this formula. We don't need it. What we need to remember is this, and that it's something in the past. That's it. We're going to practice a little bit more. This is only the introduction. Do you have any question?
No, miss. No, miss.
Okay. Now I'm going back here, and I have a very short exercise for you. Very short exercise, very brief. I want you to think in an imaginary situation for your classmates, as we usually do, and ask them a question. For example, I'm going to start. Let me choose a student, or let me choose someone. I'm going to the participants list, and I'm going to choose Cynthia. And I'm going to ask a question to Cynthia. I'm going to ask a question. Cynthia answer the question using this structure. And then Cynthia ask a question to other student, all right? My question to Cynthia is that all right, instructions?
No, miss. Can you repeat, please, again?
Sure. I'm writing down my question so I don't forget. Okay. Okay, the activity is to think about an imaginary situation, something in the past, and you ask a question to a classmate. Okay, that classmate answer the question and choose other student to make other question. Imaginary situations in the past. For example, I chose Cynthia to start. And my question to Cynthia is, what would you do if you had been born in United States? It's an imaginary situation. I know Cynthia was born in Ecuador. So it's an hypothetical situation in the past. hypothetical. That didn't happen. She wasn't born in United States, right? So my question is, Cynthia, what would you do if you had been born in United States? And maybe Cynthia will be, if I had been born in United States, I would have learned English, for example. Or maybe I would have tried to learn Spanish. Maybe. Something like that.
Okay, I tell my sentence, right?
What would you do if you had been born in USA?
Okay, if I had born in United States, I will have knew English perfectly.
Oh, yes, I'm pretty sure. Okay, that was good. That's it. That's the whole exercise. Okay, Cynthia, choose someone.
Could you repeat the question, please?
To you, what would you do if you had been born in USA?
No. Okay. I remember the question. Choose the partner.
Yes, a classmate.
Okay, classmate. Ivana.
Okay, Ivana.
What would you do if
It's kind of
if you travel to Europe?
If you had traveled
To Europe.
If I have traveled to Europe, I will have buy clothes.
Good choice. I will do the same. European fashion is really cool. Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia and Ivana. I'm going to pause there because I see that because it's the first class and third conditional, it's kind of long and complicated. It's taken us like a long time. And I don't want you to be here stuck the whole morning like everybody. I don't want you to hate third conditional or English. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much, guys, for your help, Ivana and Cynthia. I'm going to stop here. And instead of continuing, because I don't want you to push too much this situation, let's do this. Think about the questions, but not now. We're not going to use them now. Think the questions for next class, okay? Do it as a homework. Let's do it as a homework so we don't get into too much stress right now. Think about only two questions of hypothetical situations and bring them next class, all right? So next class we practice like this, speaking with your classmates about hypothetical situations in the past. You got it? Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, anyway, we only have like 6 minutes left and I don't want the class to cut and we don't say goodbye or anything because I don't like that. So instead of being here stuck at thinking questions and getting pressure and stress, let's relax and think about two questions, only two questions in third conditional about hypothetical situations in the past, in hypothetical situations for your classmates. And we're going to use this as a speaking practice next Monday. That's your homework and also it's going to be your class participation, all right? That's much better. Is that clear or do you have any question? Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, I'm pretty glad. So this is the end so far about third conditional, only the introduction. We have a long way going on this, so thank you very much for your help and your attention.